Gross.
I'm old.
And I'm burpy. Blah.
Blah. This is so weird not to be live.
I know.
Okay, let's do this. I'm not used to this.
Mm-mm.
This is weird.
Broadcasting live 4 days a week worldwide.
From the sunny beaches of Southern California.
This is ExtremeHealthRadio.com.
I'm Adam Bergstrom from Sunsync Nutrition, here with Justin and Kay of Extreme Health Radio, and we're juicing up the world and spreading love and synchronicity throughout the known and unknown universe.
Hey everybody, I just want to let you know that this show, since it was pre-recorded, we actually messed up on the show number. So anytime during the show I mention episode 285, it's actually episode 283. So just disregard all the times where I mention episode 285 and replace that with episode 283.
Yo, yo.
Wow. I'm still looking at the soundboard here, and you're over there rapping.
It's a nice early morning for a rap.
Yo, yo.
Yo, yo.
Yo, yo.
Yeah.
Well, this is a weird show. This is a pre-recorded show, isn't it?
Sure is. We've never done one of these before.
I know, it's not live. It's weird. I'm so used to the live show. It's not, doesn't feel right or something. Something's not right about this. We need a chat room. And
yeah, it's weird having to not man the chat. I was saying to you before we got on the air, though, it's kind of nice just because we can focus a little bit on where we're going.
Yeah.
And not be so interactive, where we can really nail down what it is we want to, like, our thoughts about things.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's different. But I love our regular days, but this is kind of nice.
Yeah, this is kind of cool. It's going to be wild when there's hundreds or thousands potentially of people in the live chat room.
Won't that be cool?
Yeah. I mean, how the heck are we going to be able to answer everybody's question if there's hundreds or thousands of people in there?
I know. I guess we're just going to pick the ones that stick out, and the rest that's cool. What's neat about the chat room, though, is people just have these conversations with each other.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's like they're off somewhere else talking about something.
Private chatting. I wonder how many people are going to be married through meeting through Extreme Health Radio.
I know, right?
You never know.
You never know. So this is a pre-recorded show. We're not live. This is going to be episode 285. Is that right? Yeah, 285, and this is going to be released July 18th. It's currently June 4th. That doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, it makes sense because it's June. Yeah, it does. It's June 4th. That makes sense.
My mistake.
But July 18th, yeah, people will be able to get this from there on, and I'm sure the weather will be beautiful, and it's crazy the 4th of July will have been over.
I know, right?
All these things between now and then.
Because we are going to be traveling. We're going to take a little road trip up north and go hang out and just get away for a while. And so it's going to be pretty fun, huh?
Yes, hang out in Tahoe. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Hang out with the fam. It's going to be great.
So we'll do that. And so we'll release this July 18th. So this is episode 285. And we've got a lot to get to today.
When do we not?
I know, right?
Yeah, this is going to be good.
Yeah, so I wrote this article this morning. It's pretty interesting about all the numbers that we've been seeing. It's really amazing how often we see these numbers. And this morning, I don't know if I told you. Did I tell you this? I woke up at 5:33.
You did, because remember I got out of bed at 6:22.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And then I got up and did my little quiet time, and I looked at my watch, and I had it on, and I stopped it. And you wouldn't believe this. 5:55:55.
I didn't know that one, but I did know when I was sitting in the sauna and you were on the rebounder, you stopped to pause the interview we were listening to.
Yeah.
And it was at 12:12.
Yeah.
What in the world?
And then a few minutes later, I thought I was done, because I do 20 minutes on the rebounder. I thought I was done. And I looked at my watch, it was 17:44. So it's already happened. It's only 9. I'm sure. I'm surprised it's not 9:55 right now.
Right.
It's 9:53. That's what I said in the article. It's really surprising to me when I don't see double numbers.
Well,
you know.
Well, that's just one morning. This is an example of one morning. I mean, you had all that happen. I had, I've seen a few of them this morning too. But I made chicken this morning to make chicken salad. It was weighed in the package at $13.11. And I yelled into you. Really? Of course, I picked the one that's $13.11. Like, what is going on? What is going on? Would you tell me about your article?
Well, I just talked about how first of all we've been seeing them, and then I was just trying to flush out, what it means. Is it something that is just a pure coincidence that we see? Could be. We see the numbers, or it's just a complete coincidence that's happening, or is it something that happens? It has been happening our whole life, but we just now are somehow more aware of it? Or is it some sort of sign from the universe or God that we're doing the right thing and we're in the right place and we're doing the work that we need to be doing? It's got to be one of those three things. And so in the article, I just kind of take the position that it's the last one.
I want to think it's that. I gravitate more toward that thought, but maybe that's just my ego wanting to believe that God or the universe has that for me. But I don't know what to think.
So when did you first started seeing him? Right?
It was me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was me for about 6-8 months. It's all my fault. Yeah. 6-8 months before you started seeing him. And you laughed at me. I remember you going, "This is so weird. This is happening to you all the time. I mean, what's going on with you?" And then you shortly joined me. Yeah. It's been a little while, maybe probably close to a year now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really weird because I'm looking back at our site, and even episode like 170, around there, many months ago, it's been going on. And so I was trying to figure out, what is it? What's going on? And then I referenced that Doreen Virtue article that you sent, I think.
I remember that one.
We'll just put a link to my article on this show page. But my contention is that it has something to do with, there's probably something going on where we're recognizing things more,
being more aware.
Being more aware. But then, too, I really do feel like it's some sort of sign from God or sign from the universe. I don't know. It's some message is being given to us because it's just so strange.
Why now? Is it because we're doing this radio thing and there's days where we don't know if it's going to work out or if we're going to be able to keep doing it? Or it's harder, like we come up against a lot of resistance because of this stuff? Or
it's weird because when you're doing something you love, it's really strange because you think that everything will fall into place, and everything does seem to, when you're on the right path and you're doing the kind of work in the world that you should be doing, it does seem like everything, it's like the walls of Jericho or something, or dominoes or something, where everything just falls into place before you even put your foot in front of the next step, take the next step. It's like the road is being paved for you. So there's an element of that, but then there's also an element of, like, it seems like there's some resistance too, if the work that you're doing is maybe really important work, or it's work that's changing people's consciousness or changing their minds, or it's having a broad sweeping stroke of impact on the masses of people.
Yeah.
So
that's where I get a little confused, because sometimes, you hear speakers or you listen to things or we read. I mean, we're getting stuff constantly just thrown at us. And you hear, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing when you do feel resistance, like you said. And then you have the people going, "Oh, you do what you love and you never work a day in your life," kind of thing. And I get that, but I think there's a way to marry the two where that's totally true too. Because when we do what we love and we're able to do this, I don't feel like it's work. It's really fun. But yes, on the same hand, and on the other hand, the resistance is totally there. I don't know.
It's weird because we do see resistance. Like we get, the random email from someone who's really upset about what we're saying or cautioning us about certain things, or we'll get, technological issues. The site will go down, or interviews
a dropped call.
So, but it's hard because are those things real signs of resistance, or is that? I mean, who knows?
I don't know. I know.
It's so strange. I do feel like, though, in general, if you're doing something that's you feel like you're called to do, I think the general consensus, whether or not you have little hiccups along the way. I think the general momentum and feeling is that, the road is paved before you. Things just happen. Things come your way. You get people approaching you, or you attract people into your life that are the exact person you need to do some certain goal. I think generally that's how it works. And then you get these little bouts of resistance, But it's so weird because, I'm so glad that we've found what it is that we have wanted to do. I see so many people, and it's hard because in today's world, you don't have any ability to dream as a child. I mean, for a while you get like that. You can get creative as a child. And that's why it seems like so many people are creative at such young ages.
Yeah.
But then that all gets snuffed out with responsibility and bills, and you never get to, live your dream or consider what it is that you want to do because you get presented with opportunities. And we were just talking about this yesterday. Remember about how powerful it is to make a decision about doing something in your life, and how powerful that is. I don't
remember talking about that though yesterday.
Yeah, we're talking about that. And it's just so interesting how people will, get out of college, or they'll be working at a job, and they're working at a job maybe they don't like or something like that. And they get presented with another job that they don't like, but it pays, $10,000 more per year. So they take it. And then they end up 20 years later, 30 years later going, what the heck? Where did I?
Yeah. How did I end up here?
Yeah. And so it's just really strange, when you say, you push all of that to the side and say, I don't care this is what I want. Like, I'm finally having my time in life where I get to decide what I want to do, and to be able to make that decision in the face of opposition from family members saying, what are you doing? Why are you giving up your hair salon career?
Right.
You can make, $80,000, $100,000 a year in big cities with top hair salons. Why would you give that up?
Yeah. You know what I find is weird about my situation with making that decision to step back a bit from that job? I tell you often, it's very wild. I chose proactively to take a step back from working, 6 days a week to 5 days a week to 4 to 3 to 2. And now I'm just working one, really. Hopefully by the end of the year, it could be none if I choose that.
Right.
But when I did that, I knew I'd lose some clients that I'd just been working so hard for 15 years to build. And it's like, I just got so burnt out and frazzled, and my health was, going through some issues and stuff that, you think you'd want to hold on to those tighter, but instead it's like I was so willing to let it go just because it was not a healthy place for me to be in, But once I let it go, I thought, okay, I'm going to obviously lose some people, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. I'll just work one day and pack them all in. But it's like I let it go, and then people I didn't expect at all to give up on me just stopped coming. It was almost like
they were...
Had I kept another day and kept my 2 days, they would have continued to come. So I felt like then you blame yourself going, oh, what did I just do? I just shot myself in the foot. I went down to 1 day a week, and now look what I've done. Yeah, but then you feel like, okay, well, was the whole point of that to make that choice, watch it happen, and then let it? It was like I almost just needed to, like that Indiana Jones movie. Yeah. Where he's coming to the edge of the cliff and he has to get over to the other side, and he's like, oh, there's, it said there would be a pathway or a bridge or whatever.
A bridge, yeah.
And so he doesn't see it, so I think he gets the brilliant idea, because he's Indiana Jones, to throw a bunch of sand.
That's right.
In front of him, and it lights up they really are there. He's just that he can't see them. And so was it that kind of thing where I just had to make the choice to go for it, and then the path would illuminate before me. And part of the plan was to be okay with losing these people, and therefore having more time freed up to do what it is I really love to do. Because I've never been happier. That's the thing, Right. I've never been happier, like doing what I'm doing. It's just that, doesn't pay the bills all the time, but
yeah, I'm
happier and I'm getting healthier, and it's a weird thing.
It's a weird thing because it's like we talked about before. I mean, it's almost as if these people, what happens to them? Where do they go?
I don't know.
Do they just decide to go see some other stylist and they don't tell you?
Was it like they've been waiting to go and now they have a reason? Or was it just like, they were just not meant to be in my life anymore. And God just made that apparent, and something happened. God told them, like, it's time to, move on. Saturdays don't work for you, whatever. And that's fine. But it was very surprising. Like, it was almost taking the first step and trusting, and then everything kind of falls apart. And you're like, well, what was that? But it almost feels like the decision was being made for me, and all I needed to do was be open to making the first step.
Yes.
And I'm okay with it now, but for a while.
Maybe the whole thing of it was, having the courage to take that first step. Because it was a big deal. Remember when you went down from 3 days to 1?
It was scary.
We were going to do 2. Because we were essentially living off mostly your income, and there was some that we were living off from the show. And we just said, screw it. Let's just do 1. Who cares?
It was necessary, remember? Because I was thinking 2 is not going to, I'm still going to feel like I've been living the same old way. It's like I had all these tools and empowerment behind me from listening to stuff either on Hay House, reading books, having conversations with you, seeing people in my lives whose lives were changing because they were making these jump off the cliff and grow your wings on the way down kind of decisions.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I were to stay with 2, I'd be continuing in that. And I just knew I didn't want it. So it had to be 1 or nothing,
Yeah, and that quote is really good. You just said, jump and grow your wings on the way down. Is that what it is?
I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, it's really, I don't know, I just feel like it's so apropos, because what's the point if you're going to do, if you were going to do 3 days a week and you want to eventually get to 0 and you don't even want that job, but, there comes a balance point where you have to work a little bit now until the show is completely paying for everything. Why go to that middle ground? Why do 2? Just, let's just do 1.
It's so comfortable and easy, though, to want to stay in middle ground because, finances are tight and things do get scary. And I want to be able to know that, we're going to be able to eat the way we want to eat, and we're not going to have to struggle with paying rent or making a car payment or whatever it is that people have or we have.
Yeah.
But it's like I couldn't do it anymore. It's like I reached the point of going, I just can't do this anymore. Like, I almost didn't care. I threw up my hands and jumped off the cliff. That's how I felt. Like, I was like, well, here you go.
And just let the chips fall where they may,
I had to.
And I think it was important for your health to do that too. And I just think that,
I do too.
For me, I just feel like it's the first time in my life where I felt like, I'm doing exactly what it is I need to do. Cause I've done different things. I never really wanted to work for somebody else.
Yeah, you've said that ever since you were a little kid, huh?
I just saw what jobs did to people. I feel like I had a lifetime of learning, watching other people growing up all throughout my 20s and before, just looking at how other people live their life and, just saying, okay, I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this. I want this, but I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And so I remember working jobs, as being a security guard at this big building and, wearing a suit and tie and all this stuff and seeing all these business people walk through and, and just saying, golly, here's the same guy. I see him every day. Cause I used to work from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m.,
My gosh.
And so I'd see the same guys and they would leave, at 7, 8 o'clock every single night. And I thought, okay. I mean, it's great. They're walking out in suits or probably getting in their Ferraris, and their Lamborghinis and, but I don't want that life, And so I just thought, I want to start my own business, but I never knew what it was. And, it's just, when you're young and you're, 20 years old, it's weird because you have all these potentials. We're talking about this the other day with who you're going to marry, what things you do. You spend a lot of time with friends or you go out a lot because you never know who you're going to meet.
Right.
And you
live life differently.
Yeah. You could go to this school, you could go to that school, and then if you go to this school versus that school, who knows, at one school you could have an accident and something could happen to you. At the other school, you could meet the person that you're destined to be with for the rest of your life, or meet the person that could help you in your career. And so there's, you have all these different things that are going on when you're younger, like 20, in your 20s, just out of high school. And although I like that time in life, it's fun and exciting, I'm just so glad I'm not there anymore. I'm so glad that we found each other. I don't have to worry about who I'm going to marry. I don't have to worry about what kind of job I'm going to do. Having it all figured out, I mean, it's a rare thing.
It is.
I never thought that would be me.
Yeah. And especially at this point in life. you might look back when you're 80 and be like, oh, it all worked out and I have that. But to be in our 30s and go, wow, like I didn't think it'd be this clear and this good this early.
Or we know people in their 40s that are just starting to do some things that they love to do, or they're just starting to get into things that they want to get into. And I feel so fortunate that we found this, a few years ago.
I feel like they're just allowing themselves for the first time, like I did in the last 5 years or so, just be able to let yourself breathe and really figure out, what yourself needs, like who you are for the first time. And these are people, some people never, ever do that.
You can ask who they are?
Yeah. Who are you? What makes you tick? What do you like? Like, there's no space for that because, like we always talk about, you go straight from, kindergarten to high school to college to, grad school to work to family, and all of a sudden you're 85 and what happened,
Yeah, you finally figure out, because especially as a woman too, you're always giving to either your husband or your kids, and then until that happens, so you're 22, you go to college, and by the time you're done with college, you've been so focused on accomplishing the goal of getting through school and all that, and then at the time that you're able to start thinking about yourself, then you start dating, and then you start pouring your life into some man or whatever, and then you have kids, and then all of a sudden, like you said, you're 85 and you don't realize, crap, what just happened? How did I give up on everything that I wanted to do or wanted to accomplish?
And I see it all the time. That's what makes me so sad in the salon with all these women. I feel like I've said it before and I'll say it again. I mean, I think the thing I'm most afraid of, it's like I had to ask myself what my biggest fear was inside. And, like it used to be dying young or not, finding the love of your life or whatever it was, or being judged by people or whatever. But I realized it's probably, to be honest, like being an empty shell of a person. I see it all day long. These women come in and they're just like these like shells.
Really?
Shells of people who, they're only in their 40s, 50s, 60s sometimes, and they're all kinds of, lovely people and have a lot to offer the world, but they're just beat down.
Tired. You
can see it in their eyes, and disappointed in the way life turned out for them.
Really? And you can see it with their depression and maybe how often they drink or how they live their life. You can see they're depressed, right?
For sure. The people that, unfortunately struggle with that kind of stuff. But I mean, you see it in just the average mom, who doesn't have an addiction or an addictive personality, or, she's just given so much to her kids. That's what she is. And then the kids leave home or they join the military or something. And, as they talk about it, it's just like this immense sadness. Like they don't know where to go. They don't know, like, and, I have a couple clients whose husbands are pretty well off. They don't have to worry. They have all the money. And now that their kids are grown, all the time in the world to do anything they want. And they're just petrified. They're stagnant. And it's like, you see it year after year after year. And it's like, I've known some of these poor women for 15 years.
And
they still don't know what they want to do.
Really?
They're hoping to find something that fulfills them. They're hoping to get into a hobby, meet a right group of people, join a Bible study, do volunteer stuff, do charitable work. Like they either don't do anything because they're so frozen because I don't know there's some kind of block going on where they don't do anything, or they start something and then they think, that they give it a little bit of a go, and then they realize that's not fulfilling to them. So they don't go on to the next thing.
Wow.
And so they come in and it's like, what are you doing today? Oh, same old. That's the answer, like same old, same old.
Really?
No news is good news. When you ask them what's new, it's like, there's nothing going on with these people. And it's just so sad. Like,
well, yeah, what's going on? What's happening? Where did their dreams go?
And that's the thing. Where did their dreams go? Because I'm not coming from a place of ego going, I have it all figured. I'm so glad that I am glad I'm not in their shoes.
Right.
But I'm not saying like, oh, poor them, I have it figured out, and they don't. I'm glad that I'm not them, or I'm glad that like, oh, thank God that's not me. Even though I have a little bit of that, it's not from an ego place. It's more like, oh, okay, I'm really glad that's not me, but I'm so sad for these people, that there's so many of these people walking around feeling like that. Like, yeah, what happened? They were just kindergartners, and all of a sudden they're empty nesters with no motivation for anything in life. I don't know.
It's weird because it's like a combination of no motivation, but and perhaps a little bit of depression because of how their lives have turned out. But then it's also, with the busyness of life, it's funny how it's a combination of the depression and all that, but then also there's never any time to think about the deeper issues in life or to think about what your role is in the world and why you're here on the planet at this particular time and not 400 years ago. Why you are living where you're living, why your friends are the way they are. And you don't really have a chance to stop and think about where you're headed, what kind of impact you want to leave, what kind of legacy you want to leave, with people. You don't have any chance to think about these types of things because life is so busy. You have to make money, you have to pay the bills, you have to do all these things, and take care of your kids as well as take care of your husband and your wife. And there's so much of that. And so you never get a chance to really even think about what are my dreams? What do I want to do? What kind of life do I want to live?
Well, that was me in a short period of time. Like, I've only been doing hair in the salon for 15 years. Mm-hmm. And that seems like a long time to me, but it's not that long. Some people are in careers for 50 years.
Right.
But I think what happened with me is, unfortunately, my health got a little challenging, and that caused me to literally have to take proactive steps in being in charge of my self-care. And I'd always heard of like taking care of yourself or self-love or preservation, self-care.
Right.
I never knew what that meant. I've never ever cared for myself like I have in the last year and a half. Like, I had to do it. It was a necessity. And through that, I learned you can't even begin to listen to what your dreams are until you start caring for yourself.
Interesting. How do you mean that? Like, and you mean the voice is just pushed so far below and so far down that you can't hear it? Or
in my case, yeah, I was running so ragged. I was not only feeling horrible, but I was running so ragged and spread out so thin by all the emotional stuff I was carrying for other people, let alone my own stuff. I was carrying my own stuff.
Right.
I hadn't quite dealt with, I think, along with 15 years of stories and sadness and shell people,
Yeah. People coming in and talking to you.
Yeah, it's so draining. And I feel like I was almost, and being in debt and not being able to truly feel free financially, it keeps you in the hamster wheel.
Right.
Of like everybody else does. You get up, you go to work, you have to do this, and it's like, there is no space for dreaming. So when I got hit with somewhat of a health crisis, self-care, it's like I started seeing the word everywhere. I started, getting books sent to us by potential guests. It would just be everywhere. I was plugging into things online, reading blogs.
Wasn't there that book that you saw, The Art of Extreme Healthcare or something like that?
Was it The Art of Extreme Healthcare?
By Marianne Williamson or something like that? Or Cheryl Richardson? Or
Oh, I didn't read that one.
The Art of it. Okay.
I didn't read that, but I should add that to my list.
Yeah.
No, but Hay House was huge to me.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me write that down.
Yeah, that was Hay House was big for you.
Heal Your Life. You Can Heal Your Life, Louise Hay.
Mm-hmm. So it wasn't until you started learning that you should, I guess, start taking care of your own self.
Yeah, and then once I did that, and I'm talking like it takes a lot. It takes a lot of boundaries. I think the biggest part was saying no. More than taking time to do the sauna and the rebounder and the things that I knew were going to help my health, even adding supplements and seeing the right doctors, naturopaths, people I wanted to work with. Mm-hmm. That was really an integral part of it for sure. But I think the biggest thing was somehow allowing myself to not feel guilty about saying no to the things I used to do. I used to go out like 4 days a week and meet friends. Mm-hmm. I'd have some lunch or wine dinners or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just had to... Well, I'm not even then. Like, this is back in the day.
Yeah.
But even just healthy ways of meeting people, it almost was like I became a little reclusive because I just needed to preserve.
Just take care of yourself.
I really needed to just stop listening to all the voices and just be quiet for a while and go, what are my dreams? Like, really get clear and tunnel vision on what it is that makes me tick. Mm-hmm. And stuff came out of the woodwork that just surprises the heck out of me. Like,
yeah.
Things I never would have seen coming just because I had the time and I made the time. I didn't have the time. Nobody has the time.
Yeah, we all have the same amount of time.
Who was that said that on a Hay House interview one time?
Yeah, rich people, poor people, we all have the same 24 hours.
I think it was Chris Carr.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. It was Chris Carr being interviewed on the 2013 Hay House. I remember that.
Yeah.
And she said, a lot of the reasons people don't do like a daily juice or a daily practice that is healthful for them is they say I don't have any time. And she goes, guess what? We all have the same amount of time.
Yeah.
We all do in a day. It's what we do with it, what we choose to value.
Right. So what kind of stuff? So you felt like you were having stuff come up out of the woodwork and you're just learning more about yourself. I think it too is also part of, your personal growth in terms of opening your mind to different subjects too. And I think all this stuff was happening at the same time, wasn't it? You were learning about yourself and opening your mind and learning new stuff and taking care of yourself, right?
For the first time in my life, I think I was actually taking care of myself.
Yeah.
That's so weird to think, it felt a little silly at 35, 34, 35. And now as I continue on, I mean, self-care is actually the top of my list. I think it's hard when you grow up in such a way, self-care might be seen as something selfish.
Yeah.
Not
or
by
luxury.
My family, but luxury.
Something other people do.
Yeah. That or what's a good way to describe it here? I think especially growing up in a Christian home and in the church and things like that, it made me feel like anything that's of yourself is looked at as a bad thing. There's no power in yourself. There's no we're supposed to constantly be doing so many things for other people, less fortunate, the poor, the meek in spirit, the people who are sick, your neighbors. And it's like I plugged myself so heavily into doing, giving for others, which is a really neat thing. But it's almost like I feel like the church kind of let me down in the way that it didn't encourage me and inspire me to take care of my own health and my own soul.
Yeah.
It's like it kept me so busy doing things and giving that I just needed a break. I needed to take care of me for a while. Before you can even get back to others, it's like you can love from a distance. You can even love hands-on, but you can't love 40 different areas. I might have to focus on one and, take one neighbor a meal a week other than doing being on a rotating meal train. It's exhausting.
Yeah, because if you end up, giving and never replenishing the tank in your own life, I mean, you're never going to have enough to give to other people. You're never going to be able to have the energy and the desire and all that to help other people. If you yourself, you're sick, you're broken down, you're depressed, you're tired, you're run down from life, and you're stressed. If you are all those things, because life, if you just don't do anything, life will do that to you.
It sure will.
Running around doing errands, going to work, trying to make business meetings, trying to pay the bills, take the kids to school. I mean, all these things, it'll just beat you down unless you. I mean, now so more than ever.
It will.
I mean, and 30, 40 years ago even was better.
Yes.
In terms of less to do, less to worry about, less stress.
Yep.
Now it's just crazy out there.
Here's the thing too with women. I don't know if it's like this for most guys out there. I think what's going wrong too with it's like we have to have self-care if we're going to be good for anybody else, right? It starts here.
Yeah.
But I feel like we feel guilty. We feel a lot of guilt.
Women?
And I'm not sure, again, if it's for men or not, but maybe it's just people, but especially women, you feel guilty because you feel like you should be doing something and you feel like you should be doing something for other people. And here's an example. I remember when I love my mom and I'm not bagging on her, but I remember going to get a massage. I think it was the second massage I'd ever had in my life. The first one was so amazing. I thought, how had I gone 22 years or whatever, never had a massage?
And this was when you were doing a lot of work. So
sure. A lot of hair, a lot of sore shoulders. A lot
standing all day.
Sure. All that stuff.
So, yeah.
And I remember my friend took me in to get my first massage. God bless her. And it was just amazing. And so I'd made an appointment for the next month thinking this is a good thing for me. With all that I give, I need to restore myself. And I went in and unfortunately I had a therapist who probably wasn't as experienced as she should have been. And she pressed really hard behind my kneecap. And I remember that's such a sensitive area.
Yeah.
And I had nerve damage and tingling and it would hurt for about 4 months afterward.
Really?
4 months, I bet.
Wow.
And I remember.
I didn't know you then, did I?
I don't think you did actually.
Yeah.
And I remember complaining about it and I was living at home at the time, I think, and I kept talking about it. And my mom, we were in the kitchen and I remember saying, gosh, this is just the weirdest feeling. And I probably said it for 30 times and she looked at me and she goes, well, maybe you shouldn't be so self-indulgent. Maybe that wouldn't have happened had you not been so self-indulgent.
Interesting.
And the way she said that was it stuck with me. I mean, I remember that from 15 years ago or whatever it has been now. And what that said to me is you don't deserve it and you should feel guilty about spending that time and money. And that's what happens when you quote spend money on luxurious items or first of all, and I had to step back now in my older years and be like, that wasn't a luxury by any means. That was necessary.
Yeah. That was completely necessary.
And unfortunately, all that was is that I got a person who wasn't as trained as they should have been.
Yeah, that's all that was.
And that's all that was.
Yeah, you just got someone who massaged too hard.
It made me feel so guilty. I didn't go get a massage for the next year and a half. Because I felt so bad about oh, you're right. If I wouldn't have done that, then that wouldn't have happened to me.
Yeah.
And that's where I think people, and including myself, have gone wrong. It's we have this guilt about taking care of ourselves and the things that we need to make us better in order to even give anybody back anything of any value.
Yeah. That's true.
It's just really hard.
It's true.
And we all have those stories,
For guys, it's kind of, in terms of, because you were saying being busy and feeling guilty for doing certain things. For guys, at least for me, today's culture, you're taught to do and to accomplish. And, like we were talking about the other day, how, for a woman, when she's growing up, you might think of what kind of man am I going to marry? What's the wedding going to be like? Am I going to have kids? Am I going to be fulfilled after I have kids? What's it going to be like being married? Am I going to be, is interested in the guy? And the guy is thinking that as well. The guy wants, guys want to be, at least normal, just regular guys, I guess, want to be married or want, a companion that they're attracted to and they're, interested in and they enjoy. But then also, I think one of the main things that we think about is career and how, what kind of career we're going to have. Are we going to be fulfilled? Because that's, a third of your day.
Right.
Or more. Because really if you think an hour or so driving, most people drive to work and then the lunchtime. So you're looking at 8, 9, 10 hours a day. Aside from sleep. So then you're looking at 18 hours a day. So really you only have about 6 or 7 hours outside of sleep and work, to do anything else. They
better be with somebody you enjoy, which is scary.
True. That's true. So as, for guys, we're taught to accomplish things, to achieve goals, to blah, blah, blah. And so that's the same thing too, is that when both of us getting into, growing and learning about ourselves, about how, it's important to take care of yourself and it's important to do work that you love.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It's a really big deal.
It's crazy that for that, you didn't get a massage for a year and a half. And then it's also crazy that stuck with you for so long. Isn't
it? That I still recall that. I mean, I will never forget that. Yeah. And it wasn't like she was trying to be mean or anything. That was just in her opinion. And that was probably fear-based, to be honest.
Right.
She thought, oh, you go in and you don't have any control about what people do to you. You get hurt. Why would you put yourself in that position? I think that's what that was on a deeper level. But, yeah, I mean, the things that stick with us are really interesting.
It's really strange, isn't it? Mm. Yeah. I'm just so glad. I'm so glad that, we found each other and I'm so glad that we're both on the same journey. We're both have the same mindset. It's really weird how, both of us, you could have so many things going together with a person, but then you realize, they're type A and I'm not. I don't know what other types are there. All you ever hear is A. You're right. A. I'm type B or C. What? Is there other
type A person? You know what I don't like about that? I just realized is that they're saying that's the only type. You're type A. They give you the head of the alphabet. That's the way to, there's only one type, and if you're not it.
Yeah.
It's weird. Type A.
So if you're just a lazy person, easygoing, what type is that, I wonder?
Z.
Z. A complete opposite A. But you could have everything going and be completely different in terms of type A and that, So it's it's really cool I feel like, you and I are both in really great spaces because we have each other and we have a great thing that we're working on and building and we're helping people and we're able to make somewhat decent living doing this, and it's growing all the time. So that's going to enable us to help more people. And I just feel really, for the first time in my life, at a place where I feel really happy. I feel really content, and I know I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
I feel like that's this time too.
What if we were both doing what we wanted to be doing, but we didn't like each other? Then all of a sudden you got problems there.
Yeah.
Or if we loved each other 100 times more than we do, but we hated what we did for work. So there's all these different factors that come together.
It's pretty unreal. I mean, we are really blessed. That's why I just kind of pinch myself every day going, oh my gosh, even though it's not where I want to, it's good to have goals and good to be, have things to work toward. But if this is all it ever was, I'm so blessed. I'm having a blast.
Yeah. And we're helping so many people. We get emails from people all over the world. It's just amazing.
It's really strange to me.
And it's really weird that, you do what you love to do, whatever it is, and you help people and you get paid for it. And it's just incredible.
Yep.
It's incredible.
You and I just get to chat all day like we do off air anyway, and then just record it and get to make all these friends from global friends.
Global friends, yeah. People we never would have met before.
It's pretty amazing.
Guests and listeners. It's amazing. You want to take a little break?
Take a break.
Let's take a break. And this is episode, what is it?
285.
285. See, there's no way for me to remember that one. 285. And I won't even give the date because it doesn't matter. 285 is just June 3rd or something. So episode 285, we'll put links and everything in this show page. We'll be right back right after this break. I wanted to tell you about this really powerful and unique product called the Q Laser. Did you know there's over 2,500 peer-reviewed clinical research studies showing the benefits of low-level laser therapy on the body? We had Dr. Larry Lytle on episode 165 talking all about it. Dr. Lytle, what is the Q Laser?
The Q Laser is a light-delivering device, handheld, rechargeable, that is for lay people and professionals that works at the cell level of the body to restore energy. Since the body is all composed of cells and the cells are composed of atoms, it's good for any and everything in the body. It is especially beneficial for injuries. It will reduce swelling and inflammation before your eyes. Literally, you can have a sprained ankle and fly the laser, and within 30 minutes you can see that the swelling in the ankle has been reduced. Since all disease is inflammatory, you can assume that same process is working if you have some type of intestinal problem. We have pictures of using a heat instrument to diagnose the intestinal inflammation. We can show that intestinal inflammation is pretty much gone within 3 minutes using the Q1000 laser. It's the number one tool in your medicine cabinet. I have a saying, never leave home without your laser. I have had 3 serious burns, and each time I had my laser with me, I applied the laser immediately after I had the burn. I never even blistered.
Kate and I don't want to be without ours. We've worked out a special deal with Dr. Lytle for all of our listeners. If you'd like to learn more about how the Q Laser can dramatically improve your health, go to extremehealthradio.com/laser. So a few years ago when I was working for this company, it was a really small company, and I had been wanting a Vitamix blender for years and years and years, but they're so expensive, and I just hadn't saved the money at that time to get one. And so as a Christmas bonus, they knew that I loved the Vitamix, so they got me a Vitamix, the 5000 blender. And that thing is so incredible. It was right at the beginning of my raw food journey, and I was using it about 3 times a day, really. Today, I still use it about twice a day to make blended smoothies and things like that. But the Vitamix blender is really, really great. And if you go to extremehealthradio.com/Vitamix, that will redirect you over to there, and then you'll be able to purchase that, and we'll get a commission for your order. And you'll also get free shipping, too. So that'll be great for you if you're interested in saving about $25 on the shipping. And with the Vitamix, you can make sauces and dips and bread. You could make ice cream with it. I've done a lot of ice cream. You can just make the most incredible things. And it's my favorite because it's got a tamper on it. And you can put ice and frozen berries and avocado and some honey and things like that, and with no water at all, and you have that tamper, and you can make the most amazing ice creams with it. So the Vitamix is my favorite blender of choice, and if you're in the market to buy one, I would greatly encourage you to do so if you have the money for it. And if you do it through us, through extremehealthradio.com/Vitamix, I'll get a little commission for it, and you'll get free shipping. So it works out for you and for us too. So if you're in the market, please do it through us. That'd be really cool. And you're going to love this thing when you get it. You're going to fall in love with it. You'll never go back to a regular blender again. So check that out, extremehealthradio.com/Vitamix, and I hope you enjoy it.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join the show now on Skype at Extreme Health Radio or call 949-505-9585. Hello. That's 949-505-9585.
Yeah, he is saying that, roll over me.
Gosh, I didn't hear it. I didn't get that from that.
I love this stuff. It's so good.
Let me hear it one more time. Oh, now it's just music.
He's done.
Is that it for the singing?
I think that is that. It sounds like it is.
Darn it! I think that's the longest we've ever played it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, guess I'll have to wait for the next time.
The funniest thing happen.
Oh,
okay,
didn't
so
we?
During the break, I go to the bathroom, right? Mm-hmm. And I come out of the bathroom and I'm walking back into the studio, and you call for me and you say, "Hey, the funniest thing just happened here in the kitchen. I got to show you." So I thought, okay, I need to check something in the studio. Should I do that, or should I do a quick right and go see you? I stopped for a second. Okay, I'll go see
quick right.
Quick right. And then what'd you show me?
I said, "Oh my gosh, I was doing the dishes here, putting stuff away, and I just looked at the clock. You got to check this out." And so you look at it, and it says 10:33
in the morning.
Along with the temperature in the room.
What was that?
77.7.
Right.
And right when you saw it, so I saw 77.7, I saw 10:33, so I thought that was funny enough. Yeah. You come over, and then the second I say, "Hey, look at that," you catch it at 10:33:33, and then you see the 77.7. And you just died, and we're like high-fiving each other. We're like, this is getting so funny.
This is just crazy. We
it's
see
insane.
It everywhere. I mean, what were the chances I would see it? I think it was 10:33:22. Wasn't it?
It was 33.
Was it 10:33:33?
I think it was.
What are the chances that
no, it was 22. I'm sorry. 22? You're right. Uh-huh.
I mean, it's just so, I bet you could work the math out, but it's just like we see this all day long. It's crazy. 10:33, 22 seconds, 77.7. I mean, I wish I could take a picture of that.
I know. Down to the millisecond.
What is that?
You've had that down to the millisecond on your watch.
I have.
You'll stop something.
I took a picture of that. It was on our Free for All Friday show a while back. I think it was episode 247. You might want to check that out. I took a picture of my stopwatch because what I did is I normally I do a stopwatch during the break, so in case I go to the bathroom or go to the kitchen, get something to eat while the commercials are running, I know exactly how much time I have when I come back. And so when I was walking back to the desk to sit down again to do the show, I just stopped my stopwatch, and that's what it was.
Wow.
It was like 2:22:22 or something like that. Crazy.
I know, it's like, what do you do with this info other than just go, okay, I feel like there's something here for me.
Something just there.
Be thankful, be aware, and be curious.
Yeah, be curious. Live in the mystery, right? That's kind of fun.
I realize living not in the mystery is so boring.
Isn't it?
It's really boring.
It is. When you have everything figured out and everything fits nicely into nice little slots, and it's got nice little labels on it, and you can...
Which I always thought it did.
You can there's an explanation, there's a reason for everything, and everything has its place, and there's no mystery, there's no intrigue, there's no inspiration, there's no motivation, there's no any of this stuff that makes life so much more fun and exciting. All that's just gone when you have everything figured out.
There is such you're funny because you always say it's more exciting to live with the questions and more than the answers or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a cool place to get to because I still want the answers.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Because you always say, oh, it's just so fun if you had all the answers, but I'm almost more frustrated by the questions.
I love the intrigue of, how should I put this? I love the intrigue of trying to figure things out and knowing that there's a lot more going on in the world. I mean, what I love to know about whether or not we live in a field of energy like Greg Braden talks about is true. But I love to know what's going on with the pyramids, or what Jesus spoke about, or what I love to know how the earth was really created, or did it evolve? If I could be a fly on the wall for these things, oh my gosh.
In a heartbeat, right?
I would love to know that. But it is boring though if you do have everything figured out, doesn't it? Don't you think?
I wish I could not figure. I wish I had the big things, just certain, a list. If there was 20 things on my list,
yeah. If
I could just have half of them
figured out,
answered for me, I would not. I'd pick carefully which ones, but I'd, I want to know about. I'd want to know about crop circles. I want to know what's really going on with aliens. I'd want to know about how the Earth was created.
What's the biggest thing if you had $1 million, let's say someone's going to give you $500 million tax free.
Wow.
That's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
That could help some people. Bills. Yeah. That could keep the Extreme Health Radio family going for a while.
Totally. If someone was going to offer that to you and they said you could have one mystery solved, you can have the answer to any question you have, what would it be? And it could be any question you have. You would know the answer to it.
What truly happens after we die?
I think that would be mine too.
Would that be yours too?
Yeah. What really happens?
What really does? Because I've never died, and all we have to go off of is books and faith and other people's experiences. That's all.
Yeah, 3 things, right?
Mm-hmm. That's all we have.
Faith and other people's experience.
Really. I mean, I used to be so confident in what exactly happened without having been dead. I go, how could I be so cocky?
Yeah.
Because we grew up in a way that it was based in such a faith core. I never even thought about other possibilities of it being different until I was 25 years old. That sounds so silly. I mean, some people think about this at 10 or 15 or 20, but some people never think about it, but especially when you're involved in church or religious practices. So, I mean, it sounds crazy, but I really would. That's what I would want to know.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think that's the underlying pervasive thought that underlies everyone's life that they're unwilling to talk about or they're stressed about. Deep down, they don't know what's going to happen. And that's what's going on a deep level. You comfort
yourself. You want to pretend like you want to feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I mean,
we all are living this finite life.
Sure.
And we're trying to hold on to it. We're trying to prevent disease and we're trying to live healthy. We're trying to live as long as we can. And that's honorable and noble. And we should be doing that. But really, there's much bigger things going on, right? It's not just all about our health.
Yeah.
And that's
way bigger.
Yeah. So what if someone said, okay, you could let's see, what was the first one? You could know the answer to any question. What would be one of the things you could do if you could
do anything? Have any superpowers?
Yeah, let's do superpower. Never thought I was going to ask you this on the air, but
how about you?
Superpower?
Mm-hmm.
Well, people have the obvious ones of flying.
I know what mine would be. Sorry. To be able to digest food again.
Seriously.
To be able to eat anything. Okay, sorry.
That's a hell of a superpower.
Be able to stuff a Twinkie down my face and not have any repercussions.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That is a
Go ahead.
superpower kids have.
It is.
I mean...
Yeah, there's flying, being invisible.
Being invisible would be cool, but I think for me... teleportation would be cool because you could just go visit anywhere in the world.
Ooh.
Snap of a finger. Flying would be awesome. It'd be a great experience, but teleportation would be cool because you could just be in Europe right now.
Okay. Are you talking teleportation though through any reality or any dimension? Because I'd want to be able to time travel. Is that the same thing?
Well, that would be different, but that would be sweet.
But what if you could teleport? If you're teleporting, I can't believe we're having this conversation. If you're, we spend half our day talking about things that aren't even real anyway.
I know.
But who's to say it's not real? I don't know.
Who knows?
But teleporting, if you could teleport, I don't know why you couldn't teleport between dimensions.
Can you travel through time, Jake Wellen?
Oh gosh.
You have a Stargate in your
Okay. Do you want to put a link to that? Because
no one's going to know what we're talking about.
How many times a day do I hear you quoting this YouTube sensation?
Key and Peele.
Key and Peele. Oh, Justin. You got to put a link to it.
Yeah. People are going to have to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to have to know the secrets of the universe. Key and Peele. Oh, for Reddit.
Yeah, traveling through dimensions or through time would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'd want to time travel. That would be
Would you want to know if past lives are true? Would you want to know if you could know about past lives being true or not versus where you go when you die? For me, I think it would be the latter still.
Yeah, me too.
Because who cares where you've been? You just want to care where
you're going.
Who cares if I was a mass murderer in my past life? I just want to know where I'm going.
Oh, you're funny. I agree. I would probably still pick the latter, but that is something that I would love to know.
Yeah, pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah.
So it's funny, you were telling me before the show that you had a few thoughts recently.
Oh, I'm still laughing.
About your voice, because we watched something on Gaiam TV this morning about finding, what was the title?
Being able to properly communicate, how to best communicate, or
so that your voice is heard.
Mm-hmm, so that you're heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is something I've struggled with.
That was so interesting.
Yeah, it's probably a couple of years ago now that it first came to my attention that I feel like I've never been heard.
Mm-hmm. Your whole life kind of thing.
I think my whole life. It's very strange because growing up, I wouldn't have said that. I mean, I had a really great childhood, a really normal childhood. I felt validated. I felt loved.
Right.
Obviously, no abuse, things like that. But yeah, as far as actually being heard, I feel like that probably started in my younger years. And it was interesting because about 3 years ago at Christmas time, my dad made us kids all a set of DVDs that had been taken off those old reels, the films, you know?
Yeah.
And he had them converted into DVDs of our childhood and stuff. It was really neat. And I'm watching it and it was just so funny for a couple of reasons to watch little me. There was some as a baby and, 3, 5, 6, that kind of thing. And again, I'm not bagging on my family. I love my mom. I love my sister. I love all these people. But my sister, she's 2.5 years older than me. She would just be like, basically coming into the picture, shoving me out of the way, taking the microphone and like, look at me. It's the her show, you know?
Bowl you out of the way.
Yeah. And I'm watching my little self, like my little childhood self just being like pushed to the side.
Yeah.
And, her basically just taking the spotlight.
Yeah.
And that was my first aha moment where I've probably felt that deep down way before, but seeing it, I go, I'm actually seeing what happened to me, like on that level. Imagine what it was doing emotionally at the time.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I feel like I never really have been heard. And then, I propel into a career, I get propelled into a career where people talk at you the whole time. People, there are some clients who have been really good friends and they really do care, but it's probably 1% of the people I see that actually care about my life or what's going on, or it's at least a balanced conversation where it's give and take. Yeah. Cause usually it's monologue clients,
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like no one's ever really given me a platform to be able to speak. So when we were watching that thing this morning, I thought it was really interesting. It brought up a lot of, interesting points about being heard. So I guess what happened when we were watching the thing this morning, I'm sitting the show. Was on the Gaiam.
On Gaiam, yeah.
I'm sitting in the sauna. You're on the rebounder, and she brought up Lisa Garr was interviewing the guest, and she said something, and I was starting to explain to you something about what she just said that I thought was interesting.
Oh yeah.
And you being a very you're a one tasker. You can do one thing really good at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I start telling you this, but then in the background on the TV, she's talking to the guest.
She's asking the next question.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, so you run across the room, press pause, and you go, I missed it. And I said, oh, well, she was asking this, that, or the other. And you go, how do you know that? And I go, I have this really uncanny knack or gift or some kind of superpower.
Yeah.
Maybe this is my superpower. To be able to not only keep talking to you, but hear that conversation in its entirety. And I thought I can do that at the salon day in, day out, where I'm talking to a client in my chair. Okay. I hear what they're saying. I'm totally replying in a way that makes sense. And I can hear 4 people behind me having conversations and understand it all.
You could track the other 4 people?
I can hear pretty much like 4 or 5 people talking at one time and get the main gist of everything.
That's incredibly impressive.
It's weird.
It is weird because that would make sense, because that's why I have such a big problem of people, if I'm talking with someone and they talk over me, or if I talk over them, I'm very aware of that. I'm very aware to not do that. And I try my hardest to be aware of it, and I try my hardest not to do it. But that's why I have such a hard time, because as soon as 2 people start talking at the same time, I get scrambled. In my brain, it's just
scrambled egg brain.
It's noise. Yeah. It's all just noise. All of a sudden, the meaningful words just turn to scrambled noise. And so that was really interesting.
Yeah. And probably most people are like that. I don't know why. It's like I've almost had to go there out of necessity or something.
Maybe it's like a defense mechanism.
I know. Self-preservation or something.
Could
maybe
be.
defense. Yeah. Yeah. And then what's interesting is you and I were in the kitchen making a juice for breakfast this morning before the show. And we were talking about this whole reoccurring theme coming up for me about not being heard.
Yeah.
And I said to you, isn't it funny that I've never been heard, but I hear everything.
Yeah. In an uncanny way.
I hear everything.
More so than other people.
Yeah. I take in so much. I can hear more than most people probably, I would say. And yet I don't feel like I'm ever heard until this show started, which is so bizarre to me that you were saying this microphone here for the first time in my life is basically my voice. It's like someone handed me a voice and said,
a platform and a
here
healer.
you go. And a what?
And a healer.
And a healer.
Because it's, you being able to talk and to share who you are and to allow your opinion to go out there in the world and for people to listen to it all around the world.
That's a healing thing.
That's a healing thing.
You mean for me?
For you.
Yeah.
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 It's crazy because
it is a very healing thing.
In our daily life, I'm the same way. I don't feel like I'm heard by, people I love, but there's also people in my life who don't subscribe to anything that I'm into.
Yeah.
I know that they would write me off as being crazy. And so, these kind of people, there are a lot of people in my life like that. And I don't really share too much with them. I don't really get into too much with them. I kind of keep it surface level because each person has their own little level
where you can go and then you push the envelope a little too much.
Yeah. But I feel like the same way as the younger brother growing up, my voice was never as important, or my way of speaking was never, captivating enough to have an argument, be able to be deciphered and thought about and be.
Well, and you stuttered.
Yeah,
you said. So talk about being almost embarrassed or squelched down from having a voice because you're yourself very aware that you're not giving something that you want it to come out the right way. You're probably a little ashamed of that or embarrassed or.
And I used to stutter. I used to go to stuttering speech lessons.
That is crazy.
And so it was this thing that plagued me. And you know how in school you used to have to give presentations, in front of class, you have to give speeches and all that kind of thing. And I used to just be terrified. I don't know what causes stuttering in kids, but somehow I outgrew it. But it was just the weirdest thing. And so I never felt like I had a voice that was worthy of being heard either. Same with you. And isn't it interesting that we're both doing something now that we have an influence and people care to listen to what we say? It's very fascinating.
It's humbling.
Yeah.
It's humbling and fascinating at the same time because half the time you think, why would anybody care what I have to say? Mm-hmm. And then fascinating because you get these letters from people that say you opened up their world and changed their life in some way. It's a very strange dynamic.
Yeah.
It's neat.
Yeah, because we have people in our life that are our good friends and family and people, and they don't listen to anything that we do on our show. I know they don't.
Yeah.
I
told you last night when we were walking Maggie through the neighborhood, I said, I feel as if I were to die today.
Yeah.
And you know how there's something, like I was saying, like when you lose a friend or somebody that you're close to, a family member, after they pass away, it's like you want to know everything about them because you feel like you gain a bit of them back by whether it's you have their clothes or you're able to read their journal or you can, kind of tap into more of what they were all about before they passed.
Right.
It's like, I feel like people would probably listen to all these shows that know me and been like, I don't even know who she was. Like they wouldn't know who I was. I don't think.
No, they wouldn't.
Because they don't, that's fine that they don't care about health or that they don't want to take the time, to listen to what we talk about. That's fine. I'm actually not hurt by that. I find it really interesting that you wouldn't want to support the people that you're closest to in your life.
Right.
But at the same time, I think they would be very surprised and shocked. And I think it would lead them down a rabbit trail of questions.
Of who was Kate?
Yeah. And they'd be left with so many more questions than answers. I'd be one of those people that they thought they had all figured out. And yet I was going through something that they didn't take the time
to ask
or care or not judge, because and ask with an openness that they wouldn't be like, well, that's just crazy. Like you were saying, like whether you're getting crazy thrown at you,
I know. Because people, I think what it is that people get this idea in their mind of who they think you are. Yeah. They paint a picture of that safe person that fits within the boundaries and the margins of what they think is safe.
Yes.
And they put you into that category. And as long as you act like that, or as long as if they think that you might be outside of that in any capacity, if you're drawing outside the lines, if they think that you might be doing that, they'll always keep the conversation within the realms of wherever their margins are so that they can keep you within, it's like playing pool. As long as you keep all the pool, all the balls inside the margins of the table, the walls of the table, you're fine. And it's kind of like that same thing where as long as they talk to you on a certain level and don't ask you questions that's going to make them feel uncomfortable, then they can pretend like they have you figured out, and they can pretend like you're a certain way. Because it's weird when people, it's the weirdest thing. You'll see them in 5 years. You'll see them today, and 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, you'll see them again for the first time. They're the same person.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, we're not even the same people as we were a year ago.
Yeah, a year, let alone 5 years ago.
I mean, you're constantly interested in growing and expanding our minds and everything.
Yeah.
Changing our practices and changing our diet and changing our beliefs about things. I mean, that's what life's about.
I think that's why, sadly, like we've talked about before, you outgrow your friends. And you don't mean that mean, but friends and family, it's like, what is that quote? I'm going to butcher it, but it's something like people like you to be who you are when you first meet them, or they first meet you.
Yeah.
And it's like they're comfortable with the person that they were attracted to and drawn to in the first place. And if you start to, like you said, scribble outside the lines of being that person that they thought they had figured out, they don't know what to do with that. So,
yeah,
I've had friends ditch me, and I'm like, oh, well, see ya. Because, unfortunately, I feel like if I were to call them up 10 years from now, they'd be in the same place.
Yeah, they'd be the same person as they always were.
It's kind of sad. I mean,
it's weird.
I get sad only because I see the difference in my own life of what you can be in a few years, of what's possible, and like where you can go and how you can grow. And it's just.
Yeah. It's amazing because, life, like we're talking about before, life is such an amazing journey, and there's so much mystery and intrigue and so many things to learn and to do and to understand and to experience. And you have all these things that are happening, or that are potentially could be happening in your life. And how is it that after 5-10 years, you have the same thoughts politically, spiritually, about diet, about how your role is on earth, and about different subject matters? How is it that your thoughts haven't changed about any number of those subjects in 5 or 10 years? That's insane. You know what I mean? I just can't get over that.
Well, I have to say, then the system has succeeded. I mean,
yeah.
If that's the whole point, if that is what's going on, and whoever they are, trying to keep us down, keep us busy, keep us drunk, keep us drugged, keep us depressed,
in debt,
then that's perfect. In debt, it's perfect, and they've totally won.
Yeah.
They win with those kinds of people, and I refuse to be that person.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
I don't want to be that person.
I mean, it's true, because if you are, living the standard American life, you're going to be in debt, you're going to be out of shape, you're going to have some kind of health problem, you're going to be depressed about your job, potentially divorced or stuck in a marriage that you're depressed about, and you're going to have all this stuff going on, trying to somehow manage all this stuff in your life, not realizing the whole time that, there's an entire life out there that you could explore, and you could begin learning about, and begin reading about, and begin experiencing and figuring out how to set your life up differently, that literally in a year and a half, you could be a completely different person. You can have different thoughts about things.
Well, I don't think you can be. You have to be. I think the way that the laws of the universe work, you can't stay stagnant when you're.
Yeah.
It's like you can't stop a thing from birth. Like we have outside right now this really beautiful flower growing out of a crack in the sidewalk. And it's like, out of a crack in the sidewalk, you see those things that just don't make any sense about some little seed being able to have all this power to bust up through some concrete.
Yeah,
like it's bizarre. Or in the middle of the road, you'll see some grass growing out of out of the asphalt.
Yeah.
It's like you have no other option but to grow. I mean, that's just naturally going to occur when you're putting yourself in that
space
situation.
And, I mean, if you think about that, I mean, on an emotional level, or what level is that called, where you don't grow, as a person?
When you're stagnant?
Stagnant, yeah. I mean, stagnicity is the equivalent of death, because you look at a pond and how, anytime in nature you have free-flowing water in our bodies, we eat, and if we digest, absorb, and eliminate everything we eat, then we'll never be sick, because there's that constant flow of nutrients coming in and waste going out, and that's the
replenishing
whole cycle. So if you're stagnant, like we're just talking about, depressed in the same job, and doing things you don't want to do because you have expectations that other people put on you, and that you feel that you're obligated to, and your thoughts never change, your ideas never change, all this stuff.
You're hanging out in a stagnant pond getting eaten by mosquitoes.
Yeah,
that's what's happening.
You're rotting.
You're rotting.
Yeah. And your ideas are rotting, and your hopes and dreams are rotting, and everything that you thought that you wanted out of life when you were 10 years old is somehow now gone.
Yeah.
And, you don't have any of this stuff coming out. And it's just amazing, because there's I just can't get over it. There's so much inspiration in life. There's so much mystery and wonder, you know? And, but I can see why people don't get hooked into that. Because I understand, like we talked about, life is so busy and stressful and things. But man, it's sad.
It is sad.
You know? Because people think that you're the same person you were when you're, a sweet little 15-year-old.
Yeah. Little do they know. Just kidding.
I know, right?
No, but they do. I mean, they probably still view me as such, and that's not their fault. But they haven't asked the questions or taken the time to get to know me where I am now, when I feel like I'm a real whole person now, who's evolving and growing even as we speak. There's just no humanly way possible to stay the same. I mean, everything's a season. So if you're not changing, then you're basically, like you said, you're stagnant. You're in a cesspool of stagnicity, just holding you down. And what kind of a life is that?
I mean, that's why I think our marriage is so fun and so cool, because we have this ability to grow together.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when we first got married, I wasn't sure. I was kind of on this path already, but I was just hoping that you would join me one day.
I know you've said that. I never would have.
Yeah.
You did really good at hiding what you kind of knew or thought about.
Yeah.
Not in a sneaky way, but I think that you probably thought you'd never meet anybody who was interested in the stuff you were. So
yeah,
you had to be somewhat quote normal to try to find somebody who might be enough on the same path as you were. But
yeah, because you never know. I mean, when you get married, you don't know what kind of person the person you're going to get married to is going to become. You don't know if they're just going to be the same person forever. And maybe the other person's going to grow and evolve and change. And if one person grows and evolves and changes and the other person doesn't, then there could be an issue there.
Sure.
Or if both people grow and evolve and change, but they just grow in different directions, that's a problem. And so I just knew, for me, that I was in 5 or 10 years, every 5 or 10 years, I was going to be a different person. I knew that I was going to have completely crazy, wild thoughts about things and want to try certain things. I didn't know if you were going to be into that. And it's just been an amazing ride for the last little while. I mean, the whole time, but really your journey has really been going on for about, probably 5 years or more?
Yeah, probably about 5.
And it's almost more fun for me to see where you've come from and where you're going, as opposed to if you were already, say, beyond wherever I was
to begin with.
Yeah, to begin with. You know? So seeing your journey is pretty amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm really blessed. I never saw myself. It's kind of like you're almost afraid to hope for something better than you could think it could be, because you'll just be disappointed.
Yeah.
But it's like, I was a typical, I don't know, like girl thinking about her wedding and like, all you want to do is be loved and adored and treated like a princess. And I have to say that when we first met, it was like there was something about you that I was super drawn to, because you were very different. I'd always dated very charismatic people, very loud people, very
outgoing.
Yeah, just like they walk into a room and
they command a presence.
Yeah, they do. Exactly. And you were just kind of behind the scenes, but you were really mellow, and I don't know. There's just something about you that I thought, this is different, but I really like it. It was finally like something that seemed really healthy and normal.
Wow.
To me. But it's like I always tell people, like when they ask, when they actually care.
Yeah.
I say, it's true. You're like a little hidden treasure. Like, I don't think it takes a long time to kind of spend with you. You have to spend quality time kind of digging and searching and just opening that box and seeing all these beautiful jewels that are in there, because people miss out on it because they don't take the time. People like instant connections. They like people that they feel really comfortable with right away, or that they feel like they can, they've known them for a day and feel like they've known them a year. And you're one of those people, I think it takes a really long time to kind of get to know you. And then when you do, you're like, wow, people are missing out on this and all that you have to offer. And
thank you.
Yeah, I'm really glad though, because I remember at the beginning I was thinking, like, to get you to marry me was kind of a big deal, because you're dragging your feet there for a while. And I thought, am I done? I remember going out with your mom one night for a glass of wine up the street here and just being like, I don't know if this is going to go. It was like 3.5 years into us dating, and we'd been talking marriage, but not as much as I had hoped. And I remember her telling her, like, I just don't think like this is the last shot. Like, I don't think he's going to be willing to go there. I don't know, And then I think it was like a week later that we actually got more serious about talking about it and stuff. But
wow. Yeah, it's funny because I think my parents have a great marriage, and everyone else in my life has horrible marriages, and so although I had my parents as a good foundation in terms of an example,
Yeah.
But it was interesting because I would look at everybody else, people in school or friends or anybody else, and work people. Everyone seemed to be depressed and they just hated their marriage. Mm. And so I think that's why I was dragging my feet, because for some reason, like I said at the beginning of the show, I learned a lot by just watching what people do and thinking, I don't want that. And for some reason, I got outside of my parents' marriage. If it wasn't for them, it would have been one more. I mean, that could have been 50% of my ideas about marriage is my parents. And then the other 50% were, work colleagues and friends and high school friends, parents and all that. And so I think that's why. It's because I was I just saw other people and it's like, they're just depressed. I don't know. I'm scared. I was scared.
Yeah.
I was scared because I didn't want whatever it is they had. I didn't want that. I'd rather be single and not have that. And so, but the funny thing is that everything when we were together dating pointed in the opposite direction of that. And so it was like, okay, I think that if I get married to Kate, everything's going to be okay because she's awesome. Oh. She's amazing.
Oh.
But you hear stories of how people just turn. You know what I mean? They get married, all of a sudden they just turn on each other, or they become these different people.
Yeah, they had their best foot forward, and then it's like, haha, just kidding.
Yeah, now that I've married this person, now I can just be who I want. And so, it's just been, like we should have got married after our first date.
Oh,
it's like,
thank you.
We might as well have.
I remember asking you like a couple years later, I think on an anniversary, we were out to dinner or something, and I said, what's been the thing that surprised you the most about being married? Do you remember I asked you that?
Yeah.
And you said surprised at, that it was exactly what it was when we were dating and better. Like,
yeah,
you were actually surprised, because I think that you had fears of like having your space invaded and like the schedule you had. Like, we basically got married and we're the same exact people
I know
that
crazy.
We were when we were dating. And I don't think that's the norm by any means.
Yeah.
And I'm not tooting our own horn and saying it's anything we did.
It just so happens to be that we're the same way.
It's very
strange.
Yeah. It is. It's really neat, though.
It's really strange because we rarely ever fight.
I know.
And I don't know. Some people say that, healthy fighting, it's not if you should fight, it's that when you fight, you need to fight the right way and all this kind of stuff. And
you're like, why do we need to fight at all?
I know. I don't feel like we fought maybe less than 5 times, probably 2.
Probably like really bad fighting. Like, and we never, like, when we're talking bad, it's not like we're cussing and throwing things. Like,
yeah,
it's more like it gets too heated and one of us just walks out and goes away for 2 hours and comes back. Like,
yeah, as far as that goes, 2 times.
I think maybe 2, yeah.
Or 3, if that, or probably 2. And
they were so stupid. I don't even remember now what they were.
And I just feel, I don't know, incredibly blessed, but it just happens to be one of those things where, like you said, that you thought one time that I was somehow part of a past life for you.
I did say that.
I mean, if there is such a thing as past life.
Because I don't know what I believe about all that, but the more people talk about it, I could see why they think that.
If you go down the road of saying that there is such a thing as a past life, if you were to allow that for a second, then you could say that what you said about me, somehow we're connected or something. Yeah,
I said, like, the minute I met you, I felt like I wanted to take care of you. I felt like there was something that just drew me to, like, be with you and just provide for you, take care of you, like, emotionally, and make sure your heart was okay, and just, like, be in it with you. It was very weird.
Yeah, that's a strange thing. And who knows about that?
Who knows? Especially considering that I just had come out of something where I completely almost married the wrong person. Like, somebody who would have been completely, I mean, I just, I thank God every day that didn't go through, but I was very, very close.
How old were you when you were
month and a half away from marrying another person?
A month and a half. Mm-hmm. How old were you when you were going to get married to him?
21, 2. Yeah.
Imagine at 22, you're so
I know.
Wet behind the ears.
And I would have missed out on all this. That's what the most scary part is. It's like, obviously God was watching out for me and had a bigger plan, but, I feel like I not only dodged a bullet, but I would have been the empty shell person. I think that's why I'm so fearful had been so fearful of my life turning out that way. It's like, oh man, I don't know, with past girlfriends of yours, I'm sure you can't imagine. Life would be so different if you ended up with somebody different,
Yeah, it's weird. It would be almost. Wasn't there that movie Sliding Doors?
I love that movie.
I've never seen that, but isn't that what that's about? What life would be like if you actually ended up with the people that you dated?
No,
isn't that no?
Hers is about it's Gwyneth Paltrow actually, when she basically has the movie starting from her making two different choices. Missing a train and not missing the train, and then watching what unraveled, in both scenarios.
That's pretty
on a
cool.
parallel time. It's a really good movie, but
that's actually kind of like a quantum kind of deal.
It is. That's exactly what it is. But
wow.
I feel like there is some movie about that, though. What you're talking about more.
Yeah, it's just life would have been so weird, and maybe in different parallel realities, if there is such a thing, quantum mechanics and all that, is different realities existing all at the same time. Maybe in those realities we are with those people. And yeah, I know for us, it's incredibly unique. I've never seen anyone with something like what we have, in terms of just being okay with each other, attracted to each other. Every area, I just feel so blessed. And I understand, it's the weirdest thing. It's like growing up, I couldn't understand why people would get divorced. But now it makes total sense.
I know.
It makes total sense why people would get divorced, and if they had to get divorced, and why people... Because we were talking about just the other day that most adults that we see are just dysfunctional little children.
Right, that's the thing.
They're just children in a big body. There's no emotional maturity going on. There's no growth or anything. I shouldn't say most adults because that's just labeling, but the adults that we seem to be... exposed to, and then people are going to listen and be like, who the heck are you surrounding yourself with?
I know.
But just, I don't know.
They haven't seen our neighborhood. Just kidding.
I see it a lot,
Yeah.
And I understand why people are as dysfunctional as the way they are, because perhaps they have childhood stuff and they're bringing stuff into them. I just feel bad for people.
I know. That's the thing. I just feel there's nothing we did or didn't do, I don't think, to make the situation where we both didn't have a lot of, quote, baggage and abuse and traumas coming into. We all have our little traumas and things that matter and shape us. But yeah, coming into this, I feel like we got a really good shot at, coming here to really join together and kind of band together and join forces and be aligned for once on the same page in a way that's really refreshing. Like it's really easy to be around you. And
yeah, it's the same way with you too. It's like, when you're gone, if you're gone for, a couple of days on a trip or something, I love it when you come back.
Oh,
I love it when you're here.
Thanks.
And I think for a lot of people and for us, I think one of the big things is jealousy. Mm-hmm. That's a big problem for married people and just anybody really. And it's interesting too, because you're very open about the people you've dated, or you're very open about past relationships or whatever. And
still processing things that come up even now. All these years later, you'll still have something. And it's really neat that we're able to talk openly about it. So she's over here, Maggie. Were you looking for Maggie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found her.
I didn't want to
squish her when you rolled in.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I think that marriage jealousy is a big problem for people. And it's, I wonder if there's, a lot of stuff going on there. Like, for example, for you could be cutting, models' hairs. Mm-hmm. How did I say that?
Models' hairs.
Models' hairs.
Hair, maybe.
Who are...
The hair of Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Right.
I wish I had that hair.
Right.
Or who maybe GQ guys or whatever.
Right.
But there's a sense of like, on my end at least, there's a sense of, there's a lack of ownership. We talk about this a lot, how none of us really own anything. I don't own you. If I go to the gym and someone's on a machine and I look at another machine, I go, okay, as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to go to that machine. And as soon as I'm done, someone walks over there and gets to it a second before me. I don't get upset anymore because I realize it's not like I own that machine. You know, I don't own you. You can choose to walk in or out of my life anytime you want, and I can't control anything about that. You know, we have made an agreement in terms of a marriage, you know, commitment. But if you wanted to leave tomorrow, I can't control.
Right.
You know, I'm happy and blessed that you've chosen to spend your time on earth and the best years of your life here with me now. Because a lot of people, you know, might get married at 50 or 60. And although those could be the best years of their life too, we're in the prime of our life. And for you to take, you know, to spend the prime of your life with me is an honor.
Oh.
And so I want to honor that by being the best person I can be for you in every possible way that I can, to fulfill you in as many different ways as I can, even though neither of us both of us realize that, you know, we can't be completely everything.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, but I want to be to the best of my ability as much as I can, that for you, because you've chosen to spend the best years of your life with me.
Oh.
And what an honor that is.
Well, that's a really amazing way to put that.
You know, it is. I mean, you know, it's
thanks.
one thing to, you know, be 90 years old and all your best years are behind you and you choose to be with someone. You know, it's different.
Yeah,
you know?
It is different.
It's offering the best of your life and the best of who you are to someone.
Oh, I agree. Thank you.
So I can't get jealous because, you know, it's an honor for me to be with you.
Oh, thanks.
You know?
Well, I completely second that toward you. Is that how you say that? I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, second. I second that.
Yeah.
In regards to how I feel about you. But I do feel like, too, a lot of it is just trusting that person picked you.
Yeah.
And, I mean, some people can't trust that because they've been cheated on or whatever, but, like, I feel like, thank God, I trust every time. Same thing. I mean, you could go to the gym and there could be some hot girl in workout gear that has a way better body than me, is younger, prettier, all that stuff that you might even have more in common with. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, like, I just have always trusted that you picked me, like, mm-hmm. And I rest in that until there's another reason to feel other than that. And I don't feel that. And I really just have a knowing that I never will. And
yeah, totally.
I think my thing is, you know, kind of always having, how we were talking about earlier, you always want to know what happens and you're always aware of I was very aware of death kind of a kid when I was little. Yeah. Without losing a lot.
I'm surprised you weren't one of those kids dressing up like Elvira, you know, with the black hair and the black clothes.
I wasn't aware like that.
Like gothic.
No. I wasn't aware like that.
No. Okay.
You know what I mean?
I know.
I was a very cautious kid.
Yeah.
Had my parents telling me 1,000 million times a day to be careful.
When you go in the shower.
Yeah, don't slip in the shower, don't kill yourself, don't break your neck. When you're in the front yard, don't get taken by a murder. I mean, don't open the door to strain. I mean, all that stuff, you know, and it was just overwhelming that I thought, well, you know, you get to a certain age and you're like, why are they telling me this? Because they don't want me to die. I mean, that's what it comes down to. They don't want you to die before your time, so they try to protect you.
Right.
So I had this, you know, keen awareness of death and whatever. But anyway, you think, you know, when you think about death and losing someone, especially when you start getting to be the teenage years and you start seeing romantic movies and somebody dies, you're like, oh my gosh, they lost their soulmate. Like, they're never going to find anybody again that they're going to connect with on that level. And so I feel like during those bigger fights we had, because we haven't had one in a long time, thank God, knock on wood. Yeah. But I feel like during those, I started asking myself, if Justin were dead right now, or if I lost him, and all those emotions that go with that, and what you wouldn't do to have one more second or one more day or any amount of time back with that person on this earth, is this something I'd be mad about? Mm-hmm. Like, does this actually matter? And it goes a step beyond this quote, picking your battles in marriage or in relationships. Like, pick your battles. I always heard that. Yeah. And there is some truth to that, but I thought, like, I took it a step further and I started telling myself, like, when you start getting riled up about something or annoyed by something that you normally wouldn't, like, in your mind, treat him like he's dead. Like, treat him already like he's passed on. And it's not only simmers things down at that moment, but it makes you, I guess, question, why are you so mad about that thing? It doesn't matter. Like, all that matters at the end of this, if you're in a happy relationship, is how much time you have. Yeah. And I don't think you would spend that time if you could ever magically get that back. being upset that somebody didn't turn on the oven when they were supposed to, so you could come home and make dinner.
Or they forgot something at the grocery store.
Right. Or even didn't show up to a family thing that you were super upset about. I mean, it could be big to you at the time, but it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if you had lost that person and then could get them back.
Right.
So I remember being at a bridal shower. My best friend Christy, her sister got married a year ago, and we were up in Seattle at a bridal shower last June, about a year ago this time. And I remember we were going around writing things for the bride, like the friend, the what's it called, what is it called? The maid of honor, whatever she was. We were playing this game, and she asked for people to write on a card some advice for the bride about marriage or whatever. So we went around, and you weren't supposed to put your name on them, and the bride had to guess. And anyway, my my only advice I had, because I am by no stretch of the imagination or word a expert on marriage or relationships, it just happens that our marriage and relationship has worked,
right? And
it's really easy. But I just wrote to her, my marriage advice to you, : treat him like he's dead. And she had to go around the room, around the table.
Did she read these?
She read them all out loud. I was like, oh man, I didn't know she was going to read them. So she read that sentence out loud, and the whole table busted up laughing. All these girls are like, what? Like, and I think initially they all thought, like, treat him like he's dead. Like, does that mean like totally,
walk all over him?
Yeah, or something like that. And then she went on to read, and she goes, oh, I see. And it was more like I got to explain underneath a little bit. I wrote a couple sentences about how in my own marriage, exactly what I just said, how, you basically see things different, and the things that would normally kind of creep and bug you really don't bug you anymore. And anyway, that was kind of like having to put it into words was pretty cool, because I realized I've been doing that in my brain. It was kind of embarrassing to kind of spell out for somebody.
Yeah, especially in such a public forum.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know it was going to be read to 20 people. But, so that's kind of like my funny thing I tell people is like, hey, if they ever ask for like a bridal shower advice or something, I've used that one sentence because I thought, to me, it works. And, it really sheds a little bit of perspective and light on what's going on in your relationships.
I do the same thing with you and with my parents and people that I love. I do the same thing. I pretend like, if they're leaving to go somewhere, I say, I'll say things to them, or I treat them like I may never see them. There's no guarantees. You may never see someone again, ever.
It's true.
At least in this physical plane that we're on now. And so I always have that in the back of my mind. I don't ruminate on it, and I don't think about death and fearful about
morbid
stuff like that.
or...
Yeah, I'm not that way, but I try to live without any regrets in terms of our relationship. And so, I try to make it so that, the last time we see each other, whenever that is, it's not a fight.
Right.
Or it's not something stupid.
Right.
And so...
Because unfortunately, so many people have that. You hear it all the time about those news stories. Somebody, basically just went through this horrible thing with that person, and then they walked out the door and got hit by a car. And it was like, that's how they left it. A lot of people have unresolved business. Yeah, and so I try in my life, I'm the same way. I think maybe that works, that enhances what we have because we both kind of practice this. And it helps when both people, if only one person is doing it, it's you're right. The other person just takes. It like calls you names and then leaves. It's like they're obviously not practicing that. Right. But the other thing too that's interesting for me, if we ever do get in fights or which is rare, but if we ever, get in little disagreements or something like that, it's easy for a lot of people to get in a disagreement and then think about and let that disagreement sort of permeate the rest of their day with that person. Yeah. Or something. It festers and colors everything from that point on. Yeah. And so you start treating the person with a little more, you're more curt with them. You're short with them. You're more, just maybe for the rest of the day. Then maybe you might go to bed, wake up, and the next day you forgot about it. But at least for that day. And so what happens if that person drives off and gets in a car crash? You never see him again. Then that's not good. And so one of the things that I do is if something like that ever happens, like let's say you and I, we're in the studio right now, we have some disagreement. Let's say we just finished a show and we have some little spat or something. It's just no big deal kind of spat. Why? I think Maggie's the prettiest dog in the whole world and you think she's the ugliest. Yeah, to the extent of our spat. Just kidding. But, something that's, I don't know, something. No, I know. Something big. But, and then if you were to go out into the kitchen and I was going to go come and make a smoothie, then it's like, okay, do I treat you like we never had that conversation, or do I let that fester in my mind, or how do I
treat you. So one of the things that I do is that whole living in the now thing is that really does help me. Like I'll go into the kitchen, and if I'm mad at you, or it could be the other way around, you're mad at me, but let's say I'm mad at you for something, I'll go into the kitchen and I'll just think, okay, there is no such thing as the past. Like that past event that happened 10 minutes ago in the studio never happened, because right now I'm standing here, my left hand is holding the refrigerator door open, my right hand is getting something out of the fridge. I'm standing here, you're 3 feet from me, and this is what we're doing right now in this moment.
Yes.
And so if I just think about that's what I'm doing and here we are together, then none of what we just talked about should be an issue for me.
Yeah.
And so that helps me,
I've actually noticed that the couple times we've even gotten a little snappy with each other, like we do every now and then. Like, because just living with somebody, you're going to get a little testy here and there.
Yeah.
I feel like you've done a really good job at just like switching it, not being offended, and then you act totally normal the rest of it. Like from the 5 minutes to the next, it's like you're a different person. Like you're way better at that than me. I'm still working on that a lot.
Whereas, 5 years ago, I would just be incredibly angry and upset all day long.
You might be, though, and respond different. No, not yelling and stuff, but respond and act hurt still and annoyed. Like, you've gotten really good at that.
It's helped me a
lot of self-awareness.
Yeah, living in the now thing, and also combining that with what you were just saying, treat the other person like they're dead.
That's true.
Getting a big picture and thinking about, where you're leaking energy, why you'd want to waste any time, being angry at something so stupid.
I know, it's such a waste.
It's all just stupid, wasteful things.
Mm-hmm.
It's all just spats and ego and being bruised, and we're none of those things anyway. So when you start wrapping all these ideas together, you start, it starts changing how you react to people and stuff, and it just really seems to help me. Not perfect at it, but it seems to help.
You do well. I mean, whatever it is you're doing, it's working, because I feel like the spats and the things that we disagree on, and the things we hold the anger, and the things we try to hurt each other with, like that you're annoyed with, so you try to punish somebody, have become non-existent pretty much. Like, since we both in our heads kind of come up with these ways that we deal with strife and headbutting.
Yeah, completely.
So,
I want to let people know too about your upcoming project you have going on. You can't really reveal too much, but you've got something.
Well, I don't know. At the time this is released, it's probably
that's right.
It's probably up and going.
That's right. We won't talk about it though, just in case.
Yeah. Okay.
Should we not say anything?
Let's not even go there.
Okay.
But it is going to be a really great new project I have, basically to hopefully inspire the empty shell women I'm talking about, along with just my friends, my family, women of all ages and groups.
And color.
And colors.
Race and creed.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. So
it's going to be a really encouraging place.
That's right. I keep forgetting this isn't going to be released until July 18th.
Which, if you're watching it now, hopefully my project has launched and you already know what I'm talking about.
That's true. And I also want to let people know, too, we are currently looking for some help in terms of an intern. And it's obviously going to be a non-paid position, but in the future it could be paid depending on how everything works out. But we have so much that we're trying to get to on a daily basis, it's almost impossible. And so we're barely staying afloat. We've got emails coming in every single day. I can't keep up with that, scheduling the shows, doing the marketing, keeping up to date with the website, interacting with people on Facebook. There's just so much that we have to do, confirming guests and fixing the website. There's all kinds of things wrong with the website. So if you have any skills in this area and you're looking for perhaps something that you can put on your resume in terms of working for a radio station that you could put on there, we're looking for people. And so if you're interested in, if you have skills, the kind of skills that we're looking for are computer skills, obviously, marketing skills. You're thinking bow
hunting skills. How did you see?
I know you think
now we just have the same brain, and it's even scarier.
No, it's the field that Greg Braden talks about.
It's the
field.
That's right. The force.
Bow hunting skills. Those are only like guys who have skills. But we need some help desperately. So if you have website skills or programming skills, even marketing skills, things like that, please let me know. Obviously, it's going to be a non-paid position, an intern. for a few hours a week, depending on what you're available and open to do. And it can change into a paid position depending on the situation in time. So that's something we're looking for. And also, if you guys are interested in submitting an article and writing some content for our site, we are always looking for new writers. And so if you have some really interesting perspectives on health, or if you have some ideas that are sort of outside the box in terms of alternative health and holistic nutrition, please feel free to share your content, your articles with us. And what we'll do is we'll post them on our website. We'll have a little bio to your website, a picture of you with your Facebook account. So it's a good way to gain exposure.
Would you call that a link back?
A link back.
Look at me. I'm learning something.
Technical terminology.
Watch out.
Watch out, work. But so, yeah, it's a great way to gain a little more exposure to your work. And what we'll do is we will share your article with our Facebook fans and our Twitter followers and all of that. So it's a great way to sort of build a body of work out there on the internet that points to your work in order to gain more exposure and help more people in your particular circle. So that's something that we're looking for as well. So if you have any some original unpublished content, so these are articles that you've written specifically for Extreme Health Radio that have not been published anywhere else. So we could have ways. I have ways of knowing if it's been published and stuff like that. So
we're not going to ask those ways.
No,
because they sound kind of shady.
Kind of shady, but that was an interesting show, wasn't it?
I liked that. Thank you. That was not only flattering and delightful. It was a great conversation, but thank you for making me feel so special.
Oh, you're welcome.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, we work well together.
And we love you guys. Thanks for listening to our ramblings.
Yeah, today was just kind of a special show. No listener questions, no fun facts, no inspirational quotes. Well, I guess we'll do it.
We are the fun facts.
Yeah, all right.
Just kidding.
We'll do the inspirational quote.
Oh, will we?
Do you want to do it?
No.
No?
Doesn't seem to go with our vibe.
Okay.
Let's save it.
We'll save it. All right, so this is episode 285. Is that right? Let me see here.
I'll leave you with a quote. Treat him like he's dead.
There you go. Treat him like he's dead. Drop it like it's hot. 285.
We'll leave it at that.
Here's the inspirational quote. Drop it like it's hot. Oh, goodness.
I didn't expect that. That was great.
So this is episode 285. I want to thank all of you guys for joining us. And if you're listening to this, we're probably laying in the sun in Northern California right now.
Or hopefully hiking on top of a mountain.
That's right.
Thinking about the great, amazing life we get to live thanks to you guys.
Dreaming and planning for ways to grow the show and to build a bigger audience and help more people.
And scheming of a way to take over the world.
Yeah, that's...
Juice up the world.
Juice up the world. In the unknown and unknown universe.
I love Adam Bergstrom.
Mr. Adam Bergstrom.
He's fabulous.
Isn't he great?
Fabulous.
Excuse me.
Oh my gosh. This is a first. This is a silly wrap-up here.
That was a weird burp,
That was strange. You boys.
Oh, my goodness.
You never know what you're going to get.
Never know what you're going to get with the boys.
Ah, brother.
One thing you always know you're going to get is they're going to eat all the food.
It's a whole other discussion for another day.
Another day,
this is so true.
Oh, well.
Well.
I think that's
well. That's it.
Well, I want to also let you guys know, if you want to share this show with anybody you know, you think that might enjoy the show, please feel free to do that. You can share the show, episode 285, with your friends and family. Also, we have a store that has lots of great, incredible products on there, like amazing supplements like the magnesium infusion, the Bellicon is on there, the Rebounder, the sauna, Oceans Alive, all kinds of really great things in our store that we hope you'll like. So hopefully you can check that out. And we do, I forgot to say this at the beginning of the show too, that our website is 100% listener supported and people can donate if they would like. And so if you guys would like to support the show and send $5 or $10 our way, you can do that on a monthly basis or just whenever you'd like. That's a great way to support and keep the show free for everybody else. And also, the other thing too is if you guys make purchases on Amazon, that's a really great way to support the show as well. If you go to extremehealthradio.com/Amazon, or if you go to our site, you'll see an Amazon link at the top right of the site. You can click through. Anytime you make a purchase there, it doesn't have to be health related. It could be anything. And that's another great way to support the site. So if you can remember to do that, that's the hardest thing. Just remembering to do that.
We get it.
Yeah. Not easy.
No.
So if you can, that would be amazing. And I think that's about it, right?
I think so.
Okay.
We love you guys.
We love you, and thanks for listening. Episode 285, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
Maggie says it's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even as you educate yourself in the field of live food nutrition and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers or listeners medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog and during this podcast is discussed